This conference will now be recorded.
Am I audible? Hello? Hello? Can
Hello.
someone confirm if I'm audible?
Hello. Hi, Ram. This is Madhuri.
Hi, Madhuri. Good morning. Yeah. So let me introduce myself. My name is Manoj. I'm working in Salesforce. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I'm working in Salesforce from past around 14 years. So I worked in different industries of Salesforce. Pune, I am speaking. Okay. Can someone confirm if I'm audible? Shrikant, Sudhakar.
Yes, Ram, you're
Yes,
audible.
Yeah,
yes, I am
perfect.
able to hear you.
Thanks. Yeah. So as I said, so I'm working in Salesforce for past 14 years. Started my career in Salesforce itself. So I'm from an electronics background, but yeah, somehow so I have to start working on IT, and that's where I pitched in to Salesforce as a technology. And yeah, I didn't switch the technology till date, and I hope I won't in future as well. Looking at the career growth of Salesforce, yeah, and yeah, I work with different industries. It could like education, oil and gas, finance, real estate, of course, even healthcare domain as well, right? But yeah, within Salesforce itself. And of course, in Salesforce, we do have lots of products like sales, service, marketing, CPQ. Yeah, as of now, I'm working on data cloud, so that's a different case. Yeah. And coming to the training experience, yeah, I don't have much. I think around 8 years or 9 years, not more than that. That's my overall experience in training. But yeah, I train not less than 3,000 people by now, especially in Salesforce, in admin, development, CPQ, integration, yeah, different areas. Yeah. With this, let me start a high level intro about Salesforce. Yeah, before we start, anyone wants to share their expectations about this demo? If you're working, or are you, or yeah, anyone would like to share about themselves, like are they working or they are still grads? I think. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so generally, the attendees that will be there are a complete mixture. So people are from complete non-IT background. There are people who are freshers. Of course, there are people from which has very well experienced in IT, other than Salesforce, of course, like maybe in Java, .NET, or Siebel, or any other technology. So for that reason, so what we generally do is we will cover the very basic things about Salesforce in this demo. But yeah, feel free to ask me any questions, anything about Salesforce. Uh, yeah, before the session ends, and you don't have to wait till the end of the session. So you can ask me the questions anytime. Yeah. Now, so this is my agenda for today. So we'll speak about industrial revolution for a minute or so or two, not require more than that, and then we'll discuss about some legacy technologies, why, what is an application and all, and then what is the use of cloud computing rather than directly jumping into Salesforce, and then we'll discuss about Salesforce, and then we'll see how do we compare this. Of course, this is something which is very important for any demos, right? Like, why are we learning Salesforce? Why not any other technologies? And then the advantages, of course, the job opportunities, and finally the course content, and then just wrap up. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at least a couple of years back, this is more or less new for everyone. But yeah, uh, this is pretty much simple, right? So most of the people still think that we are in computing industrial revolution, where we are in asking systems to do something. But during 1900s, right? So if I want the system to do something for me, I have to speak, or I have to communicate with that particular machine in a language that it can understand, right? So that's where you have lots of languages, right? But now when it comes to the intelligence, right? So here systems are able to understand the language we speak. It could be our local language as well, right? For example, your Alexas, Siris. There are organizations where they in the automobile industry where you can drive the car without a driver, right? And of course, we can speak with the robots. All this, right? And why I'm speaking about this, because Salesforce is more into this now, right? Which is very very important. Now, can someone tell me why do we need an application? Anyone? No one is aware that why do we need an application? In any application for that matter, the regular ones that you use, WhatsApp, or for flight bookings, you'll use it could be Make My Trip or Via.com, or if you're from India and if you're traveling through bus, Red Bus, or most famous applications for doing any transactions, Google Pay, Paytm. So why do we need all this? So why can't we have it? Why can't we do the transactions manually? Come on, let's make the session a bit interactive. Okay. So, see, application, there are, when you ask me the same question, so I will give you two definitions, right? One is from the consumer perspective. For example, if I'm using Paytm for transactions, right? So I'll say, okay, yeah, instead of going to ATM, withdraw the cash, or instead of going to the bank and withdraw the cash and then pay my dues. So I would rather use Paytm, which will directly connect with my bank, and of course, I just have to scan and do it, right? One advantage, my money is always safe, the transactions are safe, and at the same time, I don't have to waste my time in going to the bank, collecting the amount or depositing the amount, right? So that's the biggest advantage, which means it saves my time and effort. Okay, what is the other definition? If I ask the same question to the owner of PTM, he'll say, Ram, for every transaction, it earns me money. So this is my bread and butter, right? For the person who developed the application, it is something which is earning him, right? And the person who is using it, it is also earning, but in a different format, right? It's not direct money, but instead it will say that okay, it's saving his time and efforts, right? Now, for example, like when I was in during engineering, right, or somewhere around 2000s, initial 2000s. So I do have a lot of cousins who was working in IT by then. They are managers. Some of them are in .NET, some of them are in Java, C Sharp, many things. So whenever I speak with them, of course, I don't know, I don't have any thought about coming to IT by then. So whenever I was speaking with them, so I used to ask, "What are you doing on any of the summer vacations?" Say, "Yeah, I'm starting an application." Okay, then next summer vacation. So where is your application? Yeah, yet to start. Why? He used to say a lot of things, but later on I got to know he have to follow all this to start building his application, as those technologies are legacy technologies. Legacy, this is old technologies, old platforms, right? So that is where whenever an idea comes, right, generally an application will be built based on an idea which is formed in your mind by looking at a problem, right? So for example, this Paytm, or you can take anything for that matter, right? Any ticket booking systems, right? So initially we used to spend a lot of time in queues in getting those tickets reserved and all, right, when you go for a physical form. But now everything is online. How? This was an idea came to one XYZ person who thought like, okay, why can't we build something so that instead of coming to the counters, waiting in the queues, buying the tickets, they'll come to me. Let them buy the tickets through me so that I'll get some commission, which is minimal, 1 or 2 rupees max. Right? But if I get, let's say, 1,000 tickets or 10,000 tickets, so per day my earning is 10,000, right? So that way the idea came up, and then they started building. But if they used, or there are applications which were using the legacy technologies as well, I mean, at least till last year, right? So how did they build? So as it is legacy platform, they don't have a base, so they have to build the entire infrastructure on their own. It could be the server, it could be the software that they want, it could be the user access that they have to define, everything. And at the end, user will say, "Hey Ram, your application is built, but can I use the same on the mobile?" Last question. That's where I have to think about, okay, actually, I started building the application based on some web page or based on the laptop. But now I should define the pages in such a way that it will respond on the mobile as well. That's where I'll think about, okay, do we have any web developer or web designer who can respond, I mean, design the pages which responds to the mobile page? Again, extra investment. So apart from all this, as I'm going with a physical server, it will have some user capacities. So generally when you buy a server, it will have a capacity of 100 users, 1000 users. It depends on the capacity that you're buying. And if there is any drastic change in the customer in the market, let's say whether it goes from high to low or low to high, so my investment keep on growing, but it will never come down, right? Because it is me who is managing everything on my own. So, and finally, if you are 90s kids or 80s kids, or even now also, right, those movies are there, a lot of movies you might have seen where hackers will simply hack the US armies as well, right, like somewhere around your childhoods, all those because it's all personal infrastructure. To avoid all this, we will go with cloud computing. So in cloud computing, this legacy system, we call it as on-premise system, where the resource owner will take care of everything, right? In cloud computing, we have three different services. So basically, what is cloud? Someone else will maintain your data. Someone else will do the entire maintenance, like users, everything. and you just have to define your system. This is what is about cloud. People will say, okay, does it mean that my information, entire information, will be stored in the cloud? What if it rains? So my information will come down with the rain? Nothing like that. So here what happens is, for example, if you take Amazon Web Services, right? So what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we have a big server in US, and if Ram wants to build an application for his automobile industry, yeah, let him build. They'll say, hey, I'm giving you a space in my server. You are welcome. Start building your application. Now what I'll do, I don't have to, this main first investment is gone, right? I don't have to think about server because they are giving me a space in the server, and they said they will maintain the user access as well. So I don't have to think about it, right? That biggest investment, that's the biggest investment in any of the ITs. So that is avoided. And then I'll start building my own operating systems, because Amazon Web Services gives you a black box. So that's where you have to build everything from scratch, and that we call it as infrastructure as a service. Why? Because it gives me a black box with, of course, nice networking. It gives me a good storage limits. Virtualization will be taken care, everything, but rest I have to maintain. I have to maintain my own data. I have to maintain my own runtime issues. I have to define my own application, and if I have to integrate this with any other system, which is very very important these days, so those middlewares has to be taken care by me. Then we have something called platform as a service. This is where applications like, for example, your GoToMeeting, not GoToMeeting, your Salesforce, I would say, the comes into picture. So here in Salesforce, what we do is they'll say, hey, you want to build an application? Fine. How much money you have, or what is your requirement? So do you want big features? Yes, we will do it. Or do you want to do it on your own? That's fine. You come, buy a license, start building your application. Why? Because I'm gonna give you the entire platform. You don't have to install any softwares. You log into my system, start building your application, think about your data maintenance. That's it. That is what is called as platform as service. Then what if, Ram, there is a drastic change in the users? So unlike your on-premise applications, none of these cloud computing technologies will share your actual server information to your users. It will create an image, which we call it as an interface in the cloud, and that interface will be shared through the users. Okay, so if anything happens, these images will be broken. Nothing happens to your servers. But in this case, if you might have seen around 5 6 years back, if you are from India, by the way, the one of the biggest portals in India, government portals in India, IRCTC, used to crash all the time. It used to hang up all the time. Reason is it was built on Java base. I mean Java as a technology, and it's a optimized application where a government thought, okay, a server with a capacity of 50 lakh users is enough. But the problem is the Indian population, right? Even if you go with 1% of Indian population, we are around 10 crores, right? So which is nowhere matching. So that's where it started creating a lot of issues for it, and every time it used to hang up because too many people trying to hit the server, and server doesn't know to whom to respond. So so that's where it used to hang up, and entire server used to crash. But when it comes to cloud, as the server is not having the direct effect, if anything happens, it happens to the images that are created through the servers. But your server is always safe, and you don't have to think about, okay, what if my number of users increases? So that is where we are paying him for the license, right? The service provider for the licenses, that is their job. So it will be taken care. And finally, we have software as a service, exactly your Facebook or actual Salesforce licenses. A bit costly, of course, than platform, but here that's where comes into picture. Here, what will happen is they have defined an application provided to you as a service through internet. Best example, Facebook, right? So to have a Facebook, I mean to chat with my friend, I don't have to install anything. So I'll just open my laptop, log into Facebook, pick his name, start speaking with him. I can make a call as well. Right? It's a service provided through an internet. Right? So this is a product, right? And these are the technologies. So Ram, but you few minutes you back you said Salesforce is there, the platform as service. How come software as service? Yes, Salesforce acts in both places. So it gives you a platform as well, or it comes with a service as well. I mean software as a service. Why? Because and that too for free of cost. Yeah. So the moment we buy a license from Salesforce, it depends on the licenses we are buying, whether it is a platform license or a product license. The moment I buy a license from Salesforce, by default, it gives me the platform plus it gives me somewhere around 7 or 8 market standard applications, a flavor of it, a gist of it, right? So what is this market standard? For example, uh, yeah, I have a vegetable store, a simple vegetable store near your street, right? And I have an automobile industry as well. So, do you think the sales process of my vegetables and, of course, my automobile industry will be the same? Definitely not, right? Because when you go to the vegetable store, I don't have to do too many advertisements, right? If my vegetables are fresh and if I'm giving at reasonable prices, maybe initially it might take some time, I mean 1 or 2 weeks, but people will happily buy. I don't have to do big advertisements, or I don't have to speak with you for hours and hours, so that I don't have to explain about the shape of the vegetables or the quality of the vegetables I am giving you. That is visible. You'll buy it, right? But when it goes to our automobile industry, let's say a car showroom, I have to give you a hell lot of explanations about the features of the car, the discounts that we provide, the services that I give, right? The mileage it gives, and whatnot, everything, right? And that too, even after giving everything, I really don't know whether Sudhakar will buy the product or not. There's no clarity. And first thing is, I should make sure that Sudhakar comes to my showroom to buy the car, right? For that, I have to give lots and lots of advertisements. People should be aware of me because it depends on the industry to industry, depends on the investment that I'm doing in that particular industry, right? So, but when it comes to Salesforce, right? So what it does is it thinks about bigger organizations first. So, which means in this, like one is a vegetable vendor and the other one is an automobile industries a store owner. It thinks about the automobile person. So what he does, because he is the person who is actually following the sales process, right? This is where the actual CRM comes in. So by the way, can someone tell me what is CRM? Anyone? Okay, think about it. I'll ask you back in a minute. Right.
It's like
So
customer
here,
engagement.
perfect. What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's like a relation. Uh,
Yep. So it basically it's a process. Generally, people think that it's a technology or a platform or an application, but ideally, it's a process which will tell me how do I maintain a healthy relations with my customer. Okay, but what kind of relation you'll maintain with customers? Like, why do you really need to maintain a relation with customers? So there is nothing wrong in wishing you on your birthdays, right? Most of the banks will do it. Right? They won't give you an extra percentage of interest, by the way, but they'll just say happy birthday. But it doesn't. It gives you a good feeling. That's it, right? Similarly, if let's say your net banking got stuck somewhere, or there is some transaction where I have to send it to one of my friend, but yeah, by mistake it got sent to someone else. So now If I call the bank and if they say, no, no, it's your bank, it's your account, I'm not going to support, that will be a, then I don't feel like maintaining the account in the same bank again. Right? Of course, based on the transaction. If it is minimal amount, then I say, okay, sure, though this is the first time that I'm doing and it's minimal, so I don't have to think. What if I am transferring a 1 crore to one of my friend by mistake it went to someone else? Of course, it is a negligence, but it doesn't mean that I'll say it's okay, it's my negligence, right? So they should support me, right? So what if they respond back and say that yeah okay, let us we will figure out to whom it went and we'll speak to that guy and we'll revert the transaction. I'll be pretty much happy, right? For example, in the banking sector now, right, especially on the credit cards, so you might have seen lots and lots of credit cards in the market now, right? Too many companies. And of course, as everyone knows, Amex is one of the costliest credit card in the market, but still people go behind MX. Reason is because of their customer support. So, for example, I personally use MX, right? Of course, others as well. So, if I want to speak with the customer care of any other credit card, I have to bare minimum wait for 10 minutes. But the moment I call MX, within 30 seconds, it will be connected to the right person who can support me. So, that's the best part, right? So, even if it is costly, as the service is good, I'll go with MX. It's not just for this, like many other things, right? So it's because they are giving me a good service, they are trying to maintain a good relation with me, so that's where I'll be happy, right? And the same process, like let's say if a customer raised a service request, so how do we deal with it? Or if I get an inquiry to buy my product, how do I deal with it? All these things will be defined are defined in Salesforce as sales and service applications, and these are at market standard. We will discuss about it in future. It will be covered in the course curriculum as well. Yeah, and yeah, these are some of the examples. So you can have a look. Now, coming to Salesforce, and Salesforce strictly follows. So by now you might have understood. Salesforce strictly follows the CRM, right? Customer relationship management, and instead of just going with sales and service, if you see, it have covered the entire 360-degree view of a customer. So basically it gives you a bird eye view on a customer. It's like, okay, you want to sell your product, yeah, come, let's start using our sales application, right? Or you want to provide any service like a call center support, I do have a service application. You want to do any marketing, so yeah, we do have standard marketing applications as well. And you want a base to sell your products? Yes, we do have commerce. For example, instead of Amazon or Flipkart, you can build your own commerce portal as well. Or no, no, you want to build your internal application, you can build your own apps as well. And for analysis, you can make use of Einstein Analytics, which is a little costly, of course, but still you can use it based on the data that you're having. And the last one is like if you want to integrate with an external application, so which is, as I said, like which is very important these days. Like any technology is a technology will be considered as a technology which if when it is open for any integrations, right? So that's where we deal with MuleSoft as one of the Salesforce products. So this is our middleware where it supports integrating the system with any other external source, right? And this was acquired by Salesforce in 2019, by the way. And employee experience. So it's like your Google Drive, right? So when you share a file with anyone in the Google Drive, so anyone, any number of people can modify the file at at any point, right? Similarly, we do have something called Quip as a product where we can modify a particular document shared with everyone within Salesforce, by the way. And last one, or something which is important, is trailblazers. So we call people who are learning Salesforce or working in Salesforce as trailblazers. Right? What is this? So there is a website called Salesforce trailblazer.com or a trailhead.com where you can see all the features, all the materials that are required to learn Salesforce. But of course, it's in a different format. You need someone who can help you in guiding it. And that's the place where Salesforce uploads its release documents as well, right? So instead of other technologies like Java and all, they'll generally publish the books and all, right? So Salesforce maintains a website to speak about its features, right? So whenever a new release happened in Salesforce, every year there will be three releases: summer, winter, and spring. So every three releases, it will come up with new issue. Not new issues. It come up with solutions of the issues that they figured out, or new upgrades. And the best part of the Salesforce is there is a portal called idea.com where I can say, okay, this is the problem I'm facing in Salesforce. Can't we have some solution for it? So, and then it's not just for the person called Ram who's working in ABC technology, but the same website can be accessed by many people, and the same idea can be seen by many people. For example, let's say Tarun is a person working for IBM, and he saw that, okay, this is something that important that I can, even I'm facing the issue, he'll start upvoting my idea. So it once it reaches to a number, maybe 1,000 or so, so Salesforce will start picking up because a lot of its customers are having the same problem. So it'll pick up that idea and make sure it will be released within a year. So that's the best part, and that's where Salesforce kept going. And of course, as I discussed, it's been there in multiple industries as well. So it starts with, it's there with multiple bigger industries. By the way, if you people are from India, looks like most of you are India, even if you are not staying in India, but looks like your names are India, you must be aware of Paytm. So the backbone of Paytm is Salesforce. 70% of the transactions of your Citibank or Citigroup, I would say, not just Citibank, because when I say bank, it goes only with bank, but entire Citigroup, finance, health, everything. So 70% of the transactions of Citigroup is there in say Salesforce itself. This is about the financial industries, and when it comes to education, your Stanford University or your Harvard University, they are using Salesforce rigorously. And what else? Yeah, even IDFC complete backend, the entire customer registration is completely dependent on of IDFC Bank is from Salesforce itself. And what else? Travel industries, Make My Trip, or your Red Bus if you're from India again, right? Base is Salesforce. And when it comes to oil and gas, British Petroleum, right? It's used. It is using Salesforce. HP is using Salesforce. Then now people might say, okay, yeah, speaking all about bigger organizations. What are small? Yeah, Redbus is very small organization actually. I mean, even though it's been used by across the globe, across the country, so it's a very small organization. And there are organizations whose annual turnover is just 10 lakhs. There is one Dupsik company in Vijayawada. There is a small there is a city called Vijayawada in Andhra. I'm from Andhra, by the way. So they use Salesforce. I actually forgot the company. They use Salesforce. Then how come Ram? Like, how does it actually differ between organizations like small to medium and high? So it depends on your requirement and depends on licenses. So Salesforce license starts with $3 a month a year, right? Into 12 months, yeah, to $10,000. So based on our requirement, the product varies, and then the license cost varies as well. And apart from this, the people who are working for service-based industries are called as partners in Salesforce, and we do have a portal for partner community where we can pitch in and think about look for new programs of Salesforce that they are launching, new features, or any existing products that you can learn as well. And finally, you have success communities for the rest of the world. Let's say if you don't have access to partner community because it has a lot of clauses, so you can join the success community where you can post your questions so that the other people working in AB some other companies will also respond back to you saying that, hey, this could be a solution. So this way, it has grown a healthy environment across the industries. And see, it's not just taking care of its customers; it's taking care of the people who are working for them from the service industry, like, and even the organizations who are building. For example, if you take say CTS or Accenture, right? So they are service industries. Accenture is the first company in India who started Salesforce practice with around 100 people, if I'm not wrong, somewhere around 2010, right? So it even cares about the people who are working for them. So by providing partner community. And yeah, these are the different platforms that we use. Some of them will treat now, will cover in the sessions, and some of them, yeah, in future we might go with. Any questions here, or am I talking too much? Is the session board?
Just one thing. It is really interesting. Just wanted to. Can you just give go back to the apps thing? I just missed that alone.
Which
You were
one?
saying about the commerce, marketing,
Yeah,
and then commerce, and then the apps.
yeah. Apps. How do I say? Okay, so I have a hobby of speaking about examples a lot rather than just directly giving the concept. For example, are you working, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do you apply leaves? Of course, yes, right? Being a human being.
Everybody does.
So,
Yes.
so you need a process to apply a leave, right? So a leave request process can be done in Salesforce, which is your custom application, right?
Okay.
Or so as you're working, as this is the start of the year, definitely you had your year-end performance reviews with your managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is, so they might say, okay, you perform well, or your performance is under expectations, or whatever, right? So those things can be captured in Salesforce. Or
Okay.
let's
You're
say,
talking about the app exchange, if I'm not wrong, correct? For
no, 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 no. That's different. App Exchange is different.
okay.
It's not been covered in this because it has covered all the applications here. App Exchange I'll discuss maybe in upcoming slides. Yeah. So there is one slide dedicated for App Exchange that I'll discuss. So these are about the internal applications that you are looking for. Okay, it's
Okay.
not any internal processes. To make it simple, right? So even though I'm a core Salesforce guy, so I won't say that Salesforce is the only solution for any problem in IT. Yeah, there is no technology which will resolve all your problems. And of course, I didn't see any tool better than Excel till date, right? Because Excel helps me to do many things. But yeah, Salesforce, it has its own advantage, right? And now, when should I use Salesforce? Like Ram, you speak much, but in this case, when are you gonna use Salesforce? So I will use Salesforce if I have a data which needs to be matured in a well-defined process. So you have a data, you have a workflow or a process that you follow in organization, and you have to mature this data. Then yes, Salesforce could be a right solution. It's not about sales or service. You can use it for your internal purposes as well. For example, your leave request. We few minutes back said, right. So let's say Ram wants a leave of a week. So I'll go to my tool. I'll apply for my leave. And after applying my leave, I thought like, okay, no, no, 1 week is not enough. So my kids are asking me to they take them out of India. So I need 2 weeks. So how do I change it? So how do I pull my request back? So all these things can be easily defined in Salesforce. And when I submit my leave request, how to whom it should go? Does it go? Can I just say Madhuri, who is my just my colleague, ask her to approve, or does it that it should go to my manager? If yes, then to whom? If Ram applied for 1 week leave, yeah, maybe his immediate manager could be sufficient. What if Ram needs a sabbatical leave of 1 year? Then it should go to a little more higher levels, right? Some senior managers, of course, the HR folks, and possibly depending on the size of the organization, it might need the organization CEO approval as well. Yeah. So those things can be defined internally. Yeah. And yeah, it looks very easy, right? Of course it is easy because it is already designed for us. So yeah, this one. Uh, the what? How does Salesforce do this? Because Ram, you said like Salesforce has a server, it is giving me a space. What if it has? Definitely, it could have a lot of spaces, right? How does it actually? What is the actual architecture that it follows? It follows a multi-tenant architecture, which is simple an apartment culture. I would treat it as an apartment culture. So, for example, uh, I have an individual house, my native, um, and let's say I need a basketball court, or let's go with something big. I need a heated swimming pool. So, what should I do? Of course, I have to buy a space, invest a lot, dig it, do proper. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Yeah. So if I have to build a pool for myself, so I have to invest a lot, right? Some crores of rupees. But what if I'm staying in an apartment, a gated community? Same thing will be there. Of course, I can use it anytime that I want, but the investment that I have to do on it is minimal, right? Because it's a shared pool with others, right? Even though I can use it, I don't have to pay the entire cost to them, right? Pay a minimal maintenance, maybe $1,000 or $2,000, depending on the size of the pool or whatever, right? So that's one advantage of going with multi-tenant architecture here because the resources are being shared. And the same thing, if I buy a flat in an apartment, you have your own limitations also, right? As I have a flat in my apartment, I cannot play a loud music, right? The neighbors will scold me, or I can't go to my neighbor's room and take a nap, right? I have my own limitations, right? Similarly, in Salesforce, we have limits, and we call them as governor limits. For each and every feature that we are using, we have some governor limits, right? Every feature, by the way, right? So those things also we will discuss because learning a feature is important, and of course, learning the limitations of feature is more important, I would say. Why? I'll tell you in one of the slides. Yeah. Next. Now, simple. When you compare this slide with our first slide, so this will take 1 year to build an application, even though your app is very small. But when it comes to Salesforce, it's like I got an idea, buy the license, build the application. Simple. Because the moment you are buying, entire infrastructure is set, all set for you. You start logging in, building application. And the biggest advantage of Salesforce is you don't have to think about what if the user is using a mobile app. So do I need a web developer? No, no, you're not required. So by default, Salesforce supports all the gadgets that end user is using, right? It could be your mobile or app or a tab or a laptop. Only thing is you just have to tweak the permissions. That's it. Yeah, and of course this will reduce your time of entire journey of your application or your life cycle of the application, right? So earlier you have to spend a lot of time when you're setting up the infrastructure, but this is minimal because we are paying license for it, right? Like this is not coming for free, by the way. We're paying license, and of course, Salesforce licenses are not that cheap. But still, people are running behind Salesforce. Reason is most of the organizations, at least 90% of the organizations, are clearly confirmed that they have seen a growth of 40% in their profits after they start using Salesforce. Why? I don't have to install any software in my system. Best part. So when if you say that okay, you don't have to install a software, then you don't have to think about high-end configurations of the gadgets that I'm providing to my people, right? For example, SAP. I was asked to learn SAP from by one of my managers, and he said, "Okay, we don't have a person who is working on SAP. You go out and and get trained." So I went to an institute in Hyderabad when I was working for my first organization. They asked me to install SAP in my machine. That time, my hard disk size is like around 200 GB or 250 GB. That's it. So I got to know that it is not possible. Why? Because the software size itself is 500 GB. I was like, how come this will happen? And they said, no, that's what is SAP is. And it needs a RAM size of 8 GB and all. And I said, okay, and if that is the case, yeah, please keep your SAP with you. So I'm happy with Salesforce because, anyways, by then I was not that interested in software. So, this is how it is, right? But when I use Salesforce, for me, it's like a Facebook or a LinkedIn. I know my credentials. I can log in anytime. I can build my application anywhere, right? So these two things, the time and effort that I have to keep on these two things have been taken care. So I have enough time to spend or to think about my application. And generally, the time that you build an application is very minimal most of the time, unless until it's not a strategic application of your organization. So there are apps where people are building, and even in my organization, we are building some apps around from past 2 3 years. But yeah, these are built in an agile way. Every we will print and we will build the applications in sprint. Every release we will upgrade the application. So that's a different case. But if you want to go with simple applications, yeah, you can build. I built some applications in 1 or 2 days. Okay, this actually it is not required, but yeah, let me use this. So Mark Benioff, so he's the CEO of Salesforce. So the only statement that Salesforce always passes is trust, right? So trust with the customers. Of course, we didn't discuss about this till now. One issue is, what if RAM, as it is cloud, as you are saying, if you know the credentials, you can log in. What if I log in with some of my friends' cloud credentials and start stealing the data or hacking the data? That is not possible. You know what? These days, I think from past 4 5 years, right? Salesforce, sorry, not Salesforce. If you are trying to log in to your any of your Facebooks or LinkedIn's through a new system or a new machine, it is asking for a verification code, which is sent to your registered mobile number and all, right? If you might have observed, if you are using the same gadget from a couple of months or so, that's different. But if whenever you try to log in to your social networkings websites through a new portal or a new system, so it will ask you this credentials. How? So it's been implemented now, but in Salesforce, I think it is there since 2006, if I'm not wrong, right? So it's not that easy to log in. Forget about hacking the data. It's not that easy to log into your machine unless until I get the verification code. I can't log into your system without your permission, right? And second one is, like, after that, I have to pull out the data. I need some data to pull out the data. I need some tools. For that, we need a security token, which is a combination of 18 characters, right? And till date, there is, I mean, you can look back and check. There is no data that been hacked in Salesforce. There is no data breach that happened till date in Salesforce. That's where one of the most of the banking sectors are using Salesforce. And yeah, someone asked App Exchange, right? So let's say we are starting the sessions, and let's say all of our numbers are there with Career IT, and they want to inform about some time changes or they want to do some communications. And in Career IT, there is a person called, let's say Ram. Why not me? So let's say I'm a world's best mobile developer, so I can build any application. By the way, no, I'm just joking. So now, what career IT will say? Will they ask me, okay, Ram, you are the best mobile developer. Uh, as we are going to start the application, I mean, as we are going to start the classes tomorrow, so you do one thing, start building an application for communication. Once the application building is completed, so we will use that app. We'll use that app for any communication with people. I was like, why? Why can't you use? Next question that we'll ask is, why can't you use WhatsApp? Because that is readily available, right? Even though in future WhatsApp says that you have to pay $1 a month. People will still continue to use WhatsApp. Why? Because one is ease of use, and the other one is we need to communicate with others, right? And how come WhatsApp came, like not just WhatsApp, right? Like you have a lot of other tools. So how these tools or these applications came into your mobile? Because you are using a smartphone, right? It could be Android or it could be iOS. Now, what is the first? So in this Android, I mean in this smartphones, you have this Play stores or App stores. So what is the first store that came into picture? That is App Store from iOS. Who brought that? Steve Jobs. And is that his idea? Or forget about idea. Is the domain appstore.com, is that belongs to Steve Jobs? No, it belongs to him. As he is a friend of Steve Jobs, he have given this, including the domain, to Steve Jobs, and he started with a word called App Exchange. I'm not joking. Yeah. So you can search for the news about App Store plus Mark Benioff. You will see the entire history, right? And he came up with a new word called App Exchange. If I can share the applications in mobile, his thought is like, why can't I share the apps in Salesforce? So what do I need to use WhatsApp? I should have a Play Store account or I should have an App Store account. Similarly, what do you want for using App Exchange? You should have Salesforce account. Simple. So now, being a Salesforce person, it's not that I have to get the job and survive in the market. If I have a good idea and if I can build an application, I can deploy it in App Store, sorry, in App Exchange, so that if people are using, then I'll get the money. Simple. Same concept as your App Store or Play Store. And these are the top top app builders who are making a lot of money. And actually these numbers are a little old. By now I think the numbers are tripled or quadrupled as well. As a slide is looking good, I'm just keeping it. Nothing for this lady at all, so slide is good, that's it. Yeah. And this is also not required. I should remove it from the next slide. Yeah, this is something interesting. If you see, these are the different strategic partners that are there with Salesforce, and this is how it grows. Or rather, we'll go with this. Even though it looks simple, even though it's not my picture, I like this light a lot. Why? So there are people in this session who are uh, planning to switch their career from XYZ technology to Salesforce. Why? For example, if you ask me to switch the technology, and only two things comes to my mind, or uh, this is what I kept hearing from many people who wants to switch as well. One is, Ram, actually I'm in this technology from this many years, but it's getting saturated. So as it is little old, people are not using it. So if I want to switch my job, I'm not getting enough package outside, or the market, in the market too much of competition. Why too much of competition? Because there are less jobs, right? But when it comes to Salesforce, if you see here, the performance of the company is going good day by day, year by year. See, there is no seesaw, there is no roller coaster till date. Till date. That's what. And what is your advantage in this, Ram? See, if my technology is growing, which means if Salesforce is getting profits, which means they are getting a lot of customers. If they are getting a lot of customers, those customers needs a lot of applications. That is where they need a lot of people like me. So it is generating a lot of jobs, right? So that's the biggest part. And of course, Salesforce never thought of growing vertically. It is growing horizontally also. So by small secret, by acquiring a lot of organizations. So for example, exact target, if you see, I worked on it when I was working on Stanford University. I got trained in it, but now it's been called as Marketing Cloud. Steelbrick is a CPQ tool. And what else? What else? Anything else? Prior knowledge articles. And for Quip, there is one tool. Actually, I forgot. So they will look at the market, they'll see who is performing well, and if they feel like, okay, this is something that we can utilize, they will acquire that organization. Instead of taking that idea, building everything from scratch, they will start doing the partnerships or they'll acquire it and they will start upgrading it instead of building from scratch. So that saved the time, and of course, that increased their business as well, right? So that's how Salesforce is growing, and of course, as people who are working in it, they're also growing. Yeah. Any questions till now before I move to the content? Anyone? Good. Good to see thumbs ups. Okay. So generally, course content I used to maintain in some Excel sheet, but this time I thought, okay, let me present it a different way. Okay, so we are going with two courses in this. So one is admin and followed by development. Uh, these are the different concepts that I'm going to discuss in admin. Right. Uh, I don't think you need a proper course content from the career IT. I'll explain you everything here itself. Uh, how do I say? Okay, before we jump into the content, right? So the definition of an admin is in Salesforce is little different when you ask about the same in other technologies, right? So why? Generally, when I say, okay, for example, Sudhakar is my admin. So what is the expectation? You'll say, okay, Ram, he might be managing users, he might be managing the networking, all this, but that's not the case in Salesforce. When I say Sudhakar is my admin, he can build an application for me. He can, of course, define the security. He can control all my users, but he can build an application. He can define the tables. He can define the relations. He can define the processes. He can define automations. He can write validations. He can generate the data. He can load the data, and of course, he can generate the reports also, right? So all these features comes under admin. So overall time for admin is around 20 hours. If I generally won't take more than 1 hour a day, so 20 sessions. So on an average it will take 20. So I mean it goes less and it goes high, so it depends on the folks that are there in the sessions. What I generally say is it actually goes one or two numbers higher, only on the higher side, but yeah, I have to give some round figure, so I'm just giving 20, right? So we will start with the data model, and then we'll discuss about the user interface, then security, then we'll discuss about automations, And as I said, we will discuss about the standard sales and service processes given by Salesforce, because there are a lot of automations inside it. So we'll discuss about them. And then we'll see what if I have large volumes of data, the data loading. And finally, once we have everything, we'll speak about reports. How do we generate reports and dashboards and all in Salesforce? And finally, you're set for certification. Okay. So don't think that okay, this will take 1 day, this will take 2 days, and all. So it depends on the concepts. Some of the concepts are light. It completes in 15-20 minutes. Some of the concepts needs 3 days. For example, flows or process builders, I never completed within 1 day. Even though process builders is getting decommissioned, you should be aware of process builders, because there are a lot of process builders already defined in the system. So you should we should know how it has been invoked and all. Yeah. And then sales and service, yes, these are all simple automations. And then data loader reporting, all set. Yeah, this is about your admin journey. And what are the prerequisites? As I mentioned here, you just need to know the basics of sales Excel sheet, not Salesforce. Yeah. So if you know the basics of Excel, that should be good enough. Yeah. Perfect. Any questions in this? Anyone? Good. Then development. Okay. Ram, first question that I have is, you said an admin is a person who can build everything in the system. So why do I need development? Yes, admin can build anything and everything in system in Salesforce, but the problem is you'll have limitations. Yeah. So as these are all point and clicks, you don't need to learn any technology as per the prerequisites, right? So it's very easy if you are good in logical thinking, and if you know how to write the pseudocodes and all, very very simple things. So you're up, you're all set. But as you're going with point and clicks, you will have some limitations, right? The color codings or auto hidings or large volume processing, all those things are a little difficult in admin. That is where we will go with, because I can say okay, these are limitations. It doesn't mean that if I say these are the limitations, you cannot go beyond it, then you'll say okay, then why should I use yours technology, right? I will use something else. So that's where same Salesforce came up with. So with standard features, with out of box features, these are the things that you can do. But if you want to go beyond this, then go for development. This is where you can build your own screens, your own solutions right from scratch. And what languages we need? One is complete knowledge on admin. This is must. Whether you know other concepts or not, that is different. But you should be aware of the complete knowledge of admin, right? Why? As I said, development comes into picture if you cannot resolve a problem in admin. So, which means first of all, you should know that okay, this requirement cannot be sorted in admin. So that's where I'm going with development, right? So you must be aware of entire admin. Then, yeah, here as you are going with development, you should know some language. So we use Apex, which is based on Java. So you should be aware of object-oriented programming. Then if you know the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, it helps you a lot in defining the user interface, right? Whether it could be Aura or it could be Lightning Web Components, right? So initially we'll start with Apex. We'll have introductions, data types, etc., etc., and then we'll think about queries. Like I mean, we'll discuss about queries. So we do we use different query languages called Sockle and Zossel in Salesforce. Then we'll discuss about triggers, then asynchronous Apex, then user interface, which means I'm discussing about the data model, query language, everything first, and then I'm discussing about UI. When I go to admin, it is little different because I don't have to think about my business logics. So I can discuss about the UI once I have the data model ready. But here that's not the case. I'm discussing about the business logics first, automations first, then I'm going with UI, right? And then we'll speak about the services like your email service, and of course I'll consider integrations as a service of Salesforce. Using email service also we can do the integrations. We'll see that. Post that, we'll discuss about the release management, like what do you mean by, what are the different environments that we have, what do you mean by a sandbox, and what is the process that we follow using for this release management. Do you need changes or an tool? And if you're all set, then there is something called test class about it. So what is it? How do we write those test classes and all? So that completes your entire release, and then again you're all set for the next certification, which is platform development. So here I have just given only two. One is admin and the other one is PD1. So you do have advanced admin, you do have advanced PD2 as well, advanced development. That needs little what do you would say, I mean, same courses, same features, but it'll be good if you have a bit more knowledge, or if you have some real-time experience, it'll be easier to clear. Yeah, this is about the course content. Any questions on this? Okay, one question when I was preparing. Okay, admin, lot of boxes, lot of features, 20 hours. Development, less boxes, less features, 20 hours. How do you match it? Any answers, anyone? Yeah, don't look at the quantity, look at the quality of time that we are spending. That's the only answer I have. Yeah, because so even though the number of concepts are less, the time we are going to spend in development is more. That's what the slide says, right? That's it, okay, good. Yeah, that's all I have. Any questions, anyone?
Ram, this is
Uh,
Sudhakar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I go?
yeah, please.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. That's a good session, and thank you. Just wanted to know, I mean, after the contents, do we have any live projects in this curriculum?
I was thinking the same when I was preparing this. Actually,
Okay.
as I said, right, these two
Yeah.
slides I prepared last night.
Uh-huh.
Mm, actually, I does the same. So I won't give you any live project.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, post the sessions, right? Which means generally when you go for any trainings, right, what they'll do is, I'm not contemplating any other trainings, but a general hobby is I'll complete the training, and I'll say last 2 days or 3 days we'll concentrate on some live project, and then I'll give you a big document and I'll say, hey Sudhakar, this particular feature, right? Remember day one we discussed about relationships, that applies here. And then there is second requirement. Day five we discussed about security, that comes here. That is not gonna happen in my sessions because you are going to define the application right from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next session, of course, we will see how do we do a sign up and some basic terminologies of Salesforce, the technical terminologies and all we'll see. First that we'll discuss about one single application in the market, and that is there in the market. Anything, any random application. As I said, right, I won't look at an application as a big process. And also, if you have a well-defined process in hand, we can convert that into Salesforce application. That's not that tough, also, right? So we'll discuss about some generic, or I would prefer going with simple applications because we are doing it for the first time. For example, anything on the banking or travel agencies, because you clearly you will get the ideas, or you will understand the concepts very easily if I'm trying to explain about such examples, right? We'll pick some random application and we will start building the application, because the way I have designed the course for myself, I would say I would rather say speak about trainings. I will say this is how I learned, right? Because if you go to the actual courses given by anyone else or even Salesforce, I don't think they'll follow this pattern. Reason is, first I need my data model, then I want to see the UI. then that is where I'll start controlling the people, and then I'll see, okay, how do I automate it? So this is what the process that I follow. And in the same way, you can even build the application also. So day after, what we'll do is we'll pick some random application that is there in the market. Or I would tell you in this way, right? So when I go to my organization, right, whenever a new demand comes to me, first I'll think about whether is this feasible or not in Salesforce, first of all, right? Second thing, yes, if I got an answer is yes, then I'll start sitting with my business users. We'll have a workshop of a week or two to understand their business process first, what they do, right? We'll gather the entire documentation, and then we'll see which features can be sorted in Salesforce, which key features can be automated in Salesforce, or which features are not available in Salesforce. And then we'll start designing a simple data model, and then we'll start enhancing it bit by bit. This is what we are going to do here. But as we have less number of hours instead of weeks workshop, so we will discuss about, okay, we are going with Citibank, or we are going with this travel agency, or we are going with an application on career IT or any automobile industry. We'll pick something random product and we'll start building the application, so that I don't have to give you any materials by the end, during this, right? So you will have the entire application in your system. By the way, you will get the materials. I'm not saying that I'm not going to give you anything, but instead of looking at the project documentations, right? Because it's very open secret that we will get the live project documentation, but we won't go through that, right? But instead, you will have a project in your systems. So that's what I prefer in doing. Yeah. Any other
Okay, thank
question?
you. Yeah.
Hi, Ram. The entire session is really helpful. Let me know something like as I want to build my career in Salesforce as admin.
Mhm.
So, is that necessary to learn everything as admin and the development both, or only admin is okay to build the career?
Where are you from? Are you in India or are you in any other country?
No, I am from Europe.
Okay, then good. So learn everything on admin first, and
Mm-hmm.
mm, okay, I'll treat you as me. So I thought the same, whatever you thought.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I was an electronic student, so I started my career in Salesforce. Reason is admin is very easy first.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking also.
So, but after learning admin, I felt like, okay, I have to learn development also,
Mm-hmm.
so that you will get to know for sure. So I'm not
Does it
saying that
make
you
the
learn
difference?
development, but you will say I'll try development as well,
Okay.
because it will be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone? Lot many people, but only two folks are speaking. Purni, Bindi, Madhuri just asked. Wachita, no questions.
Ram,
Or is
Ram,
it
one more question. Yeah.
Vasilaka?
How is the market in Canada, if you are aware?
Canada? See, this is Q1, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
opening up now. So Q4 generally it's pretty dark. So
Mm-hmm.
Q1 it is starting now. I think it's good now, if I'm not wrong. Or yeah, instead of this, right? Like you can directly post for a job in LinkedIn. You will see a lot of these things. I mean, there you'll get to know easily. I mean, because I might say yes or I might say no, right? Because I'm not there in Canada, right? I'm from
Mm-hmm.
Bangalore, by the way. But yeah,
Okay. Okay.
as far as I know, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Thanks.
I mean, it's not just for Salesforce. Q1 is the place where almost all the entire market for all the technologies is good, actually. But yeah, you can
Oh,
just search once. Yeah. If you
I
ask
know
me the
that.
same question November or
Actually,
October, I would say it will be less.
yeah. So I came from States to Canada. So in States, definitely
Okay.
it's good. There's no doubt. But only in Canada, being the market is small, I was just wondering, is it the right platform for me to actually explore?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
No, it's pretty good actually.
nice.
Uh,
Thanks.
Ram, this is Srividya.
Yeah, Shivji.
Yeah, just a quick question on do you take training only for admin and developer certifications?
Um,
I'm sorry, I joined in the middle, so I wasn't sure like if you have
yeah,
covered this
this
part in the
course
beginning.
is for admin and development. I mean, the sessions that we are planning as of now. But yeah, I do give it on a CPQ, Data Cloud, other products of Salesforce as well.
Okay. So can we have the fee structure of this?
Yep, that you can speak with career ready folks. I think they'll reach out to you. Maybe Vijaya or Lakshmi will reach out to you on that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Ram, I have a question. So, which platform you think is very best for trying out some test, practice tests if you're going to give out the certification while you teach? So, doing some practice tests with the course would actually make it easy for us to do the
You will get a
certification.
Salesforce access,
Salesforce Access is Trailhead, right?
not Trailhead. We will create a developer edition. You are gonna build the application here, so you don't have to bring any platform. So we will build an application here right from scratch.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm saying practice tests, test questions, dumps, something like that to prepare for the test.
I won't prefer, but yeah, answer my questions. That is more and more than enough for you to
Okay.
clear. Yeah. So every day, so one more thing, right? So every day, first 5 10 minutes, I keep asking questions. So whether you answer or not, I'll ask the questions. So
Okay, you'll
on the
give some
previous
tests.
concept, yeah.
Thanks. It was a very wonderful and very informative session, and definitely more than Salesforce, you started from scratch. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. Yep. Thanks for joining, especially on the weekend. I think it was planned only for 1 hour, and I ate half an hour more of your time. Really sorry for that. Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ram.
Next session. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ram.